Well, Jay, Bob, everybody,
Hey, Baba.
welcome to the late night chat tonight. I said on email, but I don't really think we need to read it. Basically, I was just saying that tonight I was figured it could be nice if we just had a bit of a sharing of a song, poem, stories, dreams, anything that sort of come to mind or that you've experienced in your life with Baba that you want to share. So is there anyone who has something that they prepared and they are really excited to share? Otherwise, I'm sure that Peter can play us a song at some point, and then I have some poetry that I can share as well. Everyone's got their cameras off, so I can't make eye contact with them to tell them they have to share. Peter, did you have a song that you wanted to sing or something else that you wanted to share tonight?
Yes, but I want to go later. I'm actually tuning my guitar, so that's why
Oh,
I
okay.
was muted and my camera's off. So, if you or someone else want to go first.
Yeah. Um, just to get things going, maybe to inspire people. Um, I just wrote this poem when I was at the center about 2 weeks ago. I was in Baba's room, like I had my head on Baba's bed and I was kind of sitting there, and then this like I don't know poem came through, and I had to run out of Baba's room so I could go use my iPhone to write the poem down. And so I wrote this on Baba's porch in Myrtle Beach, and it really was like a lot of it gave me a lot of support in what I was currently going through, this sort of feeling like I wasn't doing anything right. And so Baba gave me this, and it was really, really sweet. Oh, beloved, tune my heartstrings to play your melody. I've been playing for lifetimes now, trying to please your ear. But Mayhair, my fingers hurt and I am bored of this unpleasant harmony. I've tried to fake it, pretend I know your song, but I don't. I surrender. I don't. I have denied your help, assuming it knew what I should play for you. Finally, I know I don't. I have been fumbling these chords for years now, trying to find the one that can measure to yours. I can't. All I can do is surrender. I've tried every instrument. I've sang songs, played guitar. I've even tried to stomp my feet to match your rhythm. Trying to mirror your song has been nothing but a losing battle. In my desperation, I've listened to the birds in hopes they could offer me solace in my search. By your grace, after years of torture, you show me why this was an unaccomplishable feat. Does the sitar say to the musician how it wants to be played? Of course not. It cannot strum itself. It doesn't even know the melodic beauty it can create. It sits, oblivious, surrendered to the will of its keeper. I have been that sitar trying to strum itself. I am the musician, not the instrument. Beloved, no longer will I try to match your melody or try to have it for myself. I surrender. Tune my heartstrings. Dance your fingers across my every pain, triumph, and beauty. Play my strings until they whittle down to nothing or snap completely. Instead of trying to create your music, I see I am your music. You play. No longer will I make my own fingers bleed, trying to match the unmatchable. Play, beloved, play. And that's it. That's all she wrote. Jay Baba. Um, oh gosh, you guys are gonna all have to turn your cameras on because I feel like I'm talking to black screens. um, no, I that poem came to me because I sort of was, I felt like Baba, I've been trying so hard, like to do what I think you want me to do and to love you how you want me and to live my life how I'm supposed to and all this. And I realized that I had it all wrong in that moment in Baba's room. And that's what came through. It was like, it's not about us. It's not about us playing the music. It's about making ourselves available for him to play us. And that was where Tune My Heartstrings came from. But anyway, Does anybody else have anything that they want to pop out and share? It could even be like a reading from a Baba book that they really liked or an experience they had. How about you, Shri? Do you have anything?
I do. I haven't thought about it. I hadn't thought about what I was going to share. And I joined with my camera off because I'm still working.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to be rude and like looking at my computer screen the whole time. But I guess I will share just off the top of my head. My first and only time so far at Mehrabad at Baba Samadhi. So I think a lot of you know this by now, but I didn't like grow up in a Baba family, so I didn't really know about Baba until like 3 years ago. And then last summer, my family and I went to India, and my brother and I, who like I found out about Baba through my brother, and our parents are not Baba people, but they've become like accepting towards it, which I think is a big step for them because they're very like Orthodox Hindu. But we took them to Mehrabad because that's not where our family originally is from in India. So we were nowhere near like Pune or anywhere near there. We took them to Mehrabad, and they were kind of like for them, they go to India because all their family is there. So they were like, well, you're making us take like 3 days out of our like already, packed schedule to go. And we went, and I remember like you pull up to like that parking lot area. And unfortunately at the time when we were going, it was like early June. So Merazad and like the entire village was closed. Because I guess they closed for like the summer months because of the heat. So only the Samadhi was open. But I remember we like went up to that parking lot, got out, and I was like kind of feeling nothing walking up. And then as soon as I kind of like crossed that like threshold into the actual Samadhi room, I remember just like bawling my eyes out. And I had never experienced anything like it in my life. And for me, that really, I had always like, ever since I found out about Baba and, started like believing in him and all that, I always knew he was the avatar and all that. But I had never felt it to that degree as I did when you're there in his presence, or in his physical presence rather. And it was, I like think about that moment like once a day, and I just can't wait to go back. And I don't know when I can go back, but I am just gonna be so happy when I can. And hopefully when I go back, it'll be a time when the village is open and, you can stay there for a few days and do all that. But it's just a moment that I think about whenever I get super stressed, and it's always a nice reminder.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. That's a very, very personal experience to share. And I'm so thankful that you did. But did you have a feeling like it was familiar to you?
What do you mean?
Like when you got there, was it like, oh, I've been here before? Like this is home?
I didn't actually. I've actually felt that a lot more at the center in Myrtle Beach. That also might just be because I've like spent more time at the center, and I've like stayed overnight at the center now. It wasn't a feeling of home more so than it was a feeling of peace. And at that point in my life, there was something that I was like extremely anxious about for like months leading up to that point. And it was something that would like constantly eat at me. And I would always be thinking about it, whatever. And when we went to the Samadhi and we kind of just like sat there in front of it for a really long time, I did not think about it a single time. And like the peace that it brought, it kind of felt like I was in like this other world almost. And it kind of transported me to like this different reality. And like that thing that I was stressed about, I'm not even like lying. I was constantly thinking about it. And then the fact that I just didn't think about it, not only when we were at the Samadhi, but after we had left and for like a day after that, that to me was pretty crazy.
Yeah. That's amazing. And the reason I ask is I feel like some people have an experience with samadhi where it's like they're coming home, and then other people have an experience like they've longed for that connection for lifetimes. And when they get there, it can be that overwhelming, like, oh my God, I made it.
Yeah, I think it was definitely the latter. And for me, I had like growing up, I had always like, and I still do, obviously, but like love Krishna. And it's tough because there aren't really like places that you can like say with for like 100% conviction that like Ram or Krishna were there, just because it was so long ago, even though they've been everywhere. But there's like cities in India and stuff all for them, but you don't know at this point what's been skewed by like religion versus what's like the actual truth. And so for me in my life, I'd always been longing for like a place where you would know 100% Krishna had been. And for me, like when I got to the Samadhi, I was like, this is it.
Wow. That's so beautiful. I don't know if you know this, but so right near Marazad, it's about, 40 minutes maybe from Marabad, there's Pleasure Palace, which is not Krishna, but it's where Rama and Sita spent a lot of time. And,
really?
And I mean, I believe it was Baba who said that this is like where they had their, like, it was like part of their divine love story. It was being at Pleasure Palace.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's like right next to Marazad. So next time you go, you can definitely go and know that you were at least where Rama was.
Yeah, that's awesome. For me, I also, last thing before I let other people talk, but for me, so we made it a point to go to Marabad and then drive to Shirdi, because my dad at least has always been a huge Sai Baba Shirdi devotee his whole life. And so when we kind of told him like the Parvardigar story and stuff, his mind was a little blown. But I remember it was so interesting, and growing up, I always had this connection with Sai. But when we went there, I was really disappointed because I felt like the area was just so commercialized in a way. And, you can only stand in front of a samadhi for like 2 seconds before someone is like pushing you out the door. And I was really disheartened. And on the other hand, like I had never felt this connection to Upasani, but we knew that his ashram was like right next to Shirdi. So we went there, and there I felt so similar to how I felt at the Samadhi, which was so interesting to me. Again, obviously place that, Baba was and all that, but it was interesting how I had never really like thought much about Upasani before that experience. And now I do.
Wow, that's really beautiful. Just another thing that maybe would be nice when you go back to India, in Aurangabad, so in Valley of the Saints, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, Sai Baba's cave is there. And so I've never been to Sai Baba's tomb, but besides the Samadhi, one of the most spiritually charged feelings I've ever experienced in my life is inside of Sai Baba's cave. And so it's where he became God realized, and, his master Baba's master's master gave him God realization in that cave. And I believe that Baba spent time in that cave with Sai Baba, and it is so charged. So, if you have the opportunity to go back to India and have some time to go to Aurangabad, I highly recommend going to Valley of the Saints because it has that palpable resonance. But yeah.
I didn't know that, but now that's moved to the top of my list.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Well, thank you for sharing. All right, Peter.
All right, Dinku from India. Hey, Dinku,
Jai
how's it
Baba,
going?
everyone.
Hey, Jay Baba.
Yeah. So what Sri said resonated with me because After reading Nan Umriger's book, I had this intense longing to go to Mehrabad. And when I finally did, as I climbed up the hill and the Samadhi came in sight, I was overcome with this intense feeling that I'm home. Similar to what she said, but it was, as I approached the Samadhi, was that. And again, as I went closer, my eyes started filling up and I just couldn't stop sobbing when I was at the Samadhi. And that feeling was so intense, it's indescribable. Just wanted to share that.
Wow. Beautiful. Thank you so much. So how long did that feeling last for you? Was it, when you walked away from the Samadhi, or was it when you were, in the Samadhi that, how long did that feeling stay present?
It stayed present for quite a while. I would say almost throughout my trip there, that first trip. And subsequent visits, again, I kept having that experience, but it was not so intense towards the last couple of visits, but it was very much there for quite a few visits.
Beautiful.
And even now, when I sometimes pray to Baba, I'm just overcome. I feel this tingling kind of sensation going up and down my body. And I take it that Baba's showing me he's there with me.
Wow. That's a kiss from him that we got there. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Tinku.
Thank
All right.
you.
Up next, we have Marsha and Gidget. Good evening, Marsha.
I didn't know what I was going to share, but I brought a book of photographs that I took while I was in India. And this is Sai Baba's cave. I don't
Oh,
know how to-
wow.
Can you see? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I climbed up, but everybody was in a hurry. So I got in the cave, and this is the inside looking out the window. Can you see that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is that the door?
That's when you climb in to the
Yeah,
cave.
the little entrance. Okay.
Okay, and then I actually got a picture of the inside. The problem was that I was on it kind of with a bunch of people, and I just wanted to stay in there, and they ran up the hill and they ran down the hill, and that was it. It was like disappointing. But this is at Sai Baba's, the doors when you go in. It's Sakuri, I believe. I'm pretty sure. Can you see him pretty well, or like, I don't
Yeah,
want to be. I don't know what this is. I don't remember.
That's Baba's tin cabin next to the Samadhi.
When on Silence Day in 1994, Monty pulled me and Annie Lovett out of the line for Darshan, and we decorated all the places, and then they stationed me at the store to just make people go in one at a time. So it's like I was on fire. And that's when I really felt that feeling, yeah, I'm home, This I took leaving. This was women washing clothes in the stream. I thought it was a cool photo. Can you see?
Yeah, wow. Beautiful.
It's not the same. I have them on the camera, but I have to figure out how to show them. It's not in the book, but that's what I wanted to. I was going to read a poem, but I decided, I can share that. Oh, this is in the back of the older Pilgrim Center before they built the new one. So I walked right up to the bull, and I was taking pictures of all the, and this was walking to
Thought you
Sakura.
said that was a bathtub.
A bathtub? Where? No, that's not a bathtub. It's a bull. I think a white bull. Okay. Oh, this is on the path to the Samadhi. And this was in 1994.
Wow.
Yeah. I felt like I was in Jerusalem or home. I had met Nanukir, and I didn't really want to go into the Samadhi at first. And then I went in and he gave me prasad and hugged me and said, "Welcome home," and I said, "Wow, I'm home." And I have no idea why I brought all these books here to Myrtle Beach now. So it's like time to share them, right?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
beautiful photos.
Well, I got my Canon selfie to work, and so I can make postcards of everything. This is like, I think this is near Marabad, like on the road. It's kind of all these tin things. It's like, this is Baba's house. Let's see. As long as I have it out. This is Seclusion Hill. Probably most of you have been. I don't know. So this is out in the back. I'll show you the better way to show pictures, but this is the gate to Seclusion Hill. I made a painting of this. This is really cool. So when you go through this gate, you walk up to the hill. Okay, thank you for looking at that.
Yeah, no, thank you for showing that. That's great.
Thank you, Marcia. All right, up next we have Marianne. Good evening, Marianne.
Good evening. Oh, thank you. And thank you everyone for your sharing. And I decided tonight to tell a story. I have written this up in my memoir file. I decided to tell it as rapidly as I can. I have told this years ago at the Mayor Baba meeting in New York City, so some may have heard it, but I'll repeat it from my memory. And this happened probably in the early 90s. And I was sleeping here. I'm in New York City in my bed. And I had a dream, a very, very vivid dream. And in the dream, I'm sitting in like an office, like a waiting room. And there were some doors going out into a patio, a nice space, and other people were around. And there were two little wild bears running around in this office. And somebody said to me, "Those are your bears." And I said, no. And it was one of those dreams that was totally real, felt real. And they said, "No, they are your bears." And I thought, well, I can't take care of two bears in an apartment in New York City. What am I going to do? I felt panicked because I felt the love for these bears. I didn't know what to do. And so then it brought me sort of out of the dream. I thought, I've got to get out of this. So I was in that dream state that I knew I was in my bedroom, but I was still in the dream. And I felt this agitation. I didn't know what to do. And so Baba appeared in front of me. And Baba put his arms out to me, and I had the two bears, and I took them and put them into his arms, and he took them. And then I went back into the dream, and then I woke up, and I felt this total relief of letting go of these two wild bears. So then that a few days later, I was up in my spiritual training group where I learned counseling, spiritual transformation counseling we had a center up in the Catskills. And this was just like a couple of days later, the next day. And it was the end of a teaching period where I was teaching with another woman. And we had this class of students to learn the transformational work that we were all training in. And so in it was the very last group. So our students, as a tradition, gave a present to my coworker, my co-teacher, and me. And so they gave her a beautiful tote bag because she was always carrying a lot of books and notebooks and all around our center property. And they gave her this lovely tote bag to put it in. So then for me, for a gift from the students, I'm sitting there and the students are kind of sitting on the floor and in chairs, a paper shopping bag with a lot of tissue paper coming out of it. And I reach in and I feel something fuzzy and I pull it out and it is this wild bear. Exactly like the bears that I gave to Baba. It's not a teddy bear. It's a wild bear. And I recognized it immediately of what I handed the two over to Baba, and I burst into tears. And people couldn't understand why I'm crying over this bear that I get as a gift. And then I shared the story, and because people were not Baba followers, but they knew about Baba and they knew all about the spirituality. So everybody, tears came to their eyes. And then they told me the story that the three people, students who had gone to our gift shop to buy presents for the two teachers, after they bought the one for the other woman's, that seemed really nice. And then this one woman, she was very high intuitive. She said, "That's for Marion," when she saw this. And the other two women said, "No, that's silly. We gave her this practical tope. We're going to give her a bear. This is going to be ridiculous." And she kept insisting, no, that bear is for Marion. And so they said, "Okay, we'll trust you. We'll trust in." Then they got it. They got it. Of why I wept when I got this bear. So this bear sleeps with me every night since that time. Thank you. And they named the bear Golden Drop, as a drop from the Golden Ocean, Golden Drop. And I gave him a nickname of Wild Bear. Thank you.
Oh, I love that story. It's so sweet. Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you, Marianne. All right, next up we have Tina.
Hey, well, I have to pin myself because otherwise I'd be a small square and I'd like to be a big square. So, I'm kind of irreverent and I think Baba likes humor. And so when I heard this 6 o'clock news broadcast where they were interviewing Buzz Connor and they were saying, "Is it a cult or what is it?" And so that inspired me to write a song that spoke their language. And so that's what I came up with. And this is the Ballad of M.S. Irani. Hold on. I just got to get in a good position. Born in a hospital in Pune town, cold black hair and eyes of brown, called Marwan by his family. Oh, what a thunk, he'd go down in history. Marwan, baby Marwan, going down in history. Well, his pa was a seeker named Shariar. Didn't drink moonshine or play a guitar. Wouldn't touch gals, he were hunting for God. His kinfolk thought this guy was pretty odd. Shariar, he's out a hunting for God. One day Shariar, he seen a gal of 5. He told her, "Pappy, Shireen's my wife." Now this kind of talk just riled her pa. He pulled out his shotgun, said, "I'm calling the law." Shariar, better stay away from jailbait. But Shariar don't care if her pa bitched. He wait a few years and they get hitched. They have 9 kids and his pals was perplexed. This guy didn't have no hankering for sex. Shariar didn't want no truck with sex till he did. I'm going on. I just have to turn the page. Now little Marwan was a right fine child, made his mama laugh and his pappy smile. Played with a cobra when he was only 3. Why he didn't get bit, well, that's a mystery. Mare one, little mare one, pals with a snake was he. Now Sherry R, he loved his family, happy as a squirrel in an old gum tree. Being a pappy was his destiny, closer to his young'uns than a pod to a pea. Sherry are closer than a pod to a pea. Now Mare One had him a pal named Bailey. He drug him to the Tower of Silence daily. But when Bailey seen them vultures a-pecking at the dead, he screamed, Mare One, you is touched in the head. Bailey, friend of Mare One, he's afeard to visit in the dead. Now Mare One's pound him a toddy shop. His ma was busy having kids non-stop. Mare One served up mugs of his pa's home brew, and baby sat for Addie and Bayram too. Mare One, brother Mare One, best baby burper in town. There's more. Now Mare One learned his letters in a Catholic school, read the Bible and the Golden Rule, took to Jesus like a tick to a dog, sang carols at Christmas and drank some eggnog. Jingle, jingle bells, slurping down some eggnog, put some rum in it. One day Mare One seen an old gal lying 'neath a tree. She waved her hand and said, come here to me. Then she kissed his head and said, you're my son. Don't you know you're the ancient one? Mare One is Rani, he is the ancient one. Everybody, Mare One is Rani, he is the ancient one. Darn tootin'.
All right, thank you,
My
Tina.
God, that was amazing. Oh, that was great. Thank you,
That was
Tina.
awesome. Thank you. All right, up next
Don't
we
tell me
Ralph.
it was too irreverent.
No, it wasn't. It was great. It was hilarious.
This kind of reminds me of Mononosh Calypso.
Yeah. All right, Ralph. And you're up next, Ralph. Go for it.
Okay, I have a story that was prompted into my memory by Marion's story of the two bears. And it's very different in the character. So I had would have been 1968, late in 1968. I had not known of Baba a whole long time and had been to the Mayor's Center once or twice briefly, met Kitty, learned that Baba, that people were preparing to go to India, to Guru Prasad. And so I just wanted to go. So I went, I had already quit college to find Baba. And I'd found Baba, but I went to quit college to actually go to the center and really hopefully meet Baba. And I was penniless, but my parents allowed me, though they were very displeased. They knew I wasn't doing that well in school anyway, and allowed me to come live with them up in the Washington, D.C. area. And I got a job and went to work. And then came Christmas time. The night after Christmas, I called the Mayor's Center, and Elizabeth Patterson answered the phone. And then I went down there, and that's a bit more of a side story from a dream. So I met Kitty, I met Margaret Krask, a number of people, and then eventually this was all done hitchhiking, these trips, because my father had taken his car away from me, a little Volkswagen. He wasn't, so that was it. He wasn't going to support me any more than he had to. So he said I could find my way around. And I came back and went to back to work, knowing about the center. And I had contacted Chris Barker before returning to Washington, D.C. area, to my parents' house in Florida. And they returned to Texas. I hitchhiked back to the Maher Center, and then I don't remember how I got there, but I came home, went back to work, having learned about Darshan. And then the time passed, and I had purchased my airline ticket, and and Chris Barker was down in Texas here, and we were in touch with each other. And he was also working toward going to India, and had succeeded and acquired his ticket. So it would have been January, like I guess the 30th night or the 29th, wherever, I had a dream, and it wasn't two bears, it was about two mules. But in the dream, I never saw a mule. What I saw was the ground that was wet with rain, and light rain was falling and splashing the puddle of water there that on the muddy ground. And there in this little puddle of water lay a newspaper. And there was a breeze passing by, moving the pages of the newspaper, was getting wetter and wetter, and some of it was saturated, laying submerged in the water, in the mud, and the breeze was turning some of the pages, were flopping back and forth, and in this dream, then zoomed in closer and closer to the paper, and the page laid open, and there was a news headline and it said, Meher Baba throws two mules in the water. And I awoke, and that was that. The next day, the occasion arose. I decided to call Chris Barker, and his older sister answered the phone. And she said, right away, she said, Ralph, has Meher Baba died? And I said, not to my knowledge. I don't think so. No, I haven't. I mean, I don't know, but I don't think so. She says, Ralph, there's an article in the Waco newspaper, an AP wire just a short news article, AP Wire News, that says Meher Baba, something Persian prophet, something about his silence, has died in a cave in India. And I said, oh, that can't be, because Baba wasn't in a cave. He's not in a cave. That he's somewhere else altogether with people. And he's not in a cave at all. And if he's died, I don't know, but we will find out. So I called Del Ruba, and Kitty and them had received the telegram, and she confirmed that Baba had passed away, not in a cave. And I don't know what the meaning, if there was a meaning about the 2 mules, other than that perhaps having dropped the body, Baba perhaps discarded something regarding duality. I don't know. And that was my dream. Not 2 bears, but 2 mules. And not nearly as romantic as Marian's, but it was significant. Thank you, J. Bob.
I think that's a pretty romantic dream. That's for any whole experience is pretty incredible. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes, thank you, Ralph. All right, up next, Rich.
Margie, can you remind me what this meeting started out about?
Yes, it's just tonight it's just an open share. So it's like a song, poem, experience, whatever.
Okay. Well, the only thing that really comes to mind right now, I just wanted to open my mouth and talk, but no, Baba kind of prompted me to push the button. But I've picked back up Creation and Its Causes, which is that new book, that Ward Parks has made a big deal of. And I really liked it. I love the book. All of the stories of Baba dictating to the young Prem boys, they're really interesting. And so I opened it up at the beginning again, kind of, and I was reading some more of it. And Baba reveals many things in that book that aren't really anywhere else. And they're kind of fun facts, even if you don't, even if you're not on the 3rd plane, But one of the things I've always been curious about is, what is heaven and hell? So Baba discusses where heaven and hell is in the cosmology of the 2nd and 3rd planes. And it's in the 2nd plane, and I think what Baba calls the sky. And when everyone dies, your preponderance of, good or bad sanskaras, whatever they are, and your attachment to those sanskaras drives you into an experience of happy review of all those sanskaras. And it's the balance of good or bad. So if you're going to have to be reviewing your bad stuff, it's very, very, I think it's very severe form of suffering. It's hard to describe because it's the intensity of your experience of these things. And if it's heaven, it's very similar. It's very, 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 very blissful and happy and fulfilling. But Baba uses several words in this book that are fun. Some of them are Gujarati and some of them are Persian. Some of them are Vedanta, From Infinite Intelligence, there was a word that came up that I love it. And I should use it more, but it's hard to use it, but it's upabhog. So it's UPABHOG, upabhog. I take that back. UPHOB, upub. Never mind. I can't quite remember the spelling in my head. But upabhog is the eating of creation. It's your desire your ego and your Atman, your Jivatman, to continuously take in creation. it'd be very easy to associate it with something like eating chocolate. You can't quite get enough of it and you don't want to stop. But it can't be that good for you because you've got a carnal body. But upabhog is a really cool word because it's a concept that we don't have anything like that in English because it's about cosmology. And we don't have much in America or the Western world about real cosmology. But then in Creation and Its Causes, Baba brings up several other wonderful words. And he explains it near the end of how, as bubbles of the Atma going through the Om point, that we become Jivatma. And in the process, there's a diagram they drew to explain how the prawn, or the energy, through the whim, it's like a wave, and it moves through the Om point into this it's creation of the movement itself. And so it moves into, and Baba calls it pokal. So it's or Akash, right? Akashic record, but it's actually, the way we think of it is generally nothing. It's like nothingness, but it's called a pokal, Pokal. And prawn is the energy. And when it enters into this movement through God's dream, the avatar's dream, that energy becomes a wave. It becomes sort of condensed, and then it sort of becomes as it disintegrates in its energy form, it becomes all these little bubbles, which are us Jivatmas. So isn't that interesting? I love this stuff, but cosmology is a higher way of thinking of how we are here. Not so much why, but how the avatar has explained who we are here. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Rich. It's so funny. I actually was just talking to somebody about this last night. They were talking about Richie Bloom's book and how it's, how science and Baba sort of align. And I think it's so beautiful that Baba shows us, even in science, where it's like, that's supposed to be the thing that disproves God, that Baba really is everywhere and he hides even in science and everywhere else. So like you have this interest in how we're here rather than why we're here. And he just shows up in all these different ways, that I just think it's so cool. It's like in his compassion that he makes his presence known. Yeah, thank you for sharing. So,
All right. I'd like to share.
yeah, Peter, let's hear it.
Take a little break and get a little music here. And so when I was around 7 years old, I went to India for my first time in November 1988, Thanksgiving time. I was in first grade, and of course Mara was living, as well as a lot of the other Manjali. And I don't remember a lot of details of that trip, but I vaguely remember, of course, meeting Mara, and she, I went with my mom that trip, and she told my mom, like, because I had a toy guitar, and she was like, when Peter gets back to the States, just get him guitar lessons, which my parents did, and she told me to always stick with music and guitar. So I just wanted to play a little guitar improv piece. This is all going to be made up on the spot. I do love playing, like, songs, love songs, like folk songs, sing-along songs, but I'm not in the mood for singing. But I'm going to play a little improv guitar and see where it leads. So this is all made up on the spot. back to you,
Peter.
Margie.
Thank you. You kind of shook up the energy a little bit.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Does anybody else have anything that they want to jump out with? I prepared a bunch of stuff because I knew that I was going to have to fill in where people didn't want to share. But, oh, yay. Okay, Tina's got her hand up.
Yeah, I'm going to sing a song I wrote to the tune of Lonely Goatherd. Oh, I've just lost it now. Okay. We have to look at somebody's teeth. On Seclusion Hill sings a lonely goatherd, ba 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 ba. Loud was the voice of the lonely goatherd, ba 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 ba. In Maribod that was quite remote, ba 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 ba. Lusty and loud from the goatherd's throat, ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. A girl sang prayers and her love jolted, ba 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 ba. Man on the road with a load to tote, ba 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 ba. Money telling an anecdote, ba 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 ba. Must to wear 12 overcoats, ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Heather looking for a baba quoted, ba 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 ba. Mara mending her petticoated, ba 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 ba. She yodeled back to the lonely goatherd, ba 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 ba. He answered her, yes, I'm a devoted, ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Soon all the folks in the valley remoted, ba 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 ba, and his name echoed from their throats, ba 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 ba, ba 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 ba, ba 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 ba, ba 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 ba.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you,
Ba, ba, ba,
Tina.
ba, ba, ba.
One more
Ba, ba,
time,
ba,
please.
ba,
One more.
ba.
Yeah, okay.
Next time we all could like try to do a duet. You could do it, then we could ba ba ba. We could have a chorus. We could have like a ba 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 chorus. All right, but seriously, Tina, that was awesome. Keep it up.
Like the chorus.
And you might get a ba. You might get a BA on it. All right. We next up we have David. Good evening, David.
Hi, friends. How's it going?
Good. Jay
It's
Baba,
Dave. My
welcome.
name is David. I know a few people in here, but good to meet you all. So, long story short, I went to the Bible Center for the first time with my dad this past March, and it really changed a lot of things. It really got me believing in a higher power, and I really felt change in my spirit. Like I really felt the love and the vibration from that place, and how it is such like a pure and more healthier vibration than most other stuff we live in. But I have lost that, and like feel like I've gotten a little bit more in like recent weeks or like recent days. I acted out of lust. I watched porn. I like did some things that really like messed with my head, and I continue to pray to Baba that I can work through that like fear, anger, anxiety, whatever it is, especially at night when I have trouble being in my own brain. Close my eyes, feeling my own thoughts. Just the way to go. Just like never give up trying to pray. And I also finished watching the episode Ted Lasso with my mom tonight, and he just gave a really good speech about believing, how that can change everything. And it's a TV show, but it just felt like that love vibration that I felt through Baba's center, that there is help and resources out there, like tapping into love energy all around me, and it's just up to me to continue with it and continue. But I was full of a lot of pain before I got in this meeting, but then the boss really cheered me up. I just appreciate like not knowing like probably half of you, but just hopping onto this meeting and already feeling like the good vibes and good energies, and yeah, and everybody for letting me share.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you, David. We're happy to have you.
Keep thinking in your thoughts of Baba, David. Keep Baba in your thoughts. It's very helpful.
Yes, so true. And I remember, David. Yeah, you came with your dad, Chuck, not so long ago, a couple weeks ago to the center. That's right. You guys you're a big Reds fan, if I remember correctly.
Oh
Um,
yes, embrace the struggle, baby.
oh yeah, oh yeah. But no, that and what you said like resonates with me too. Like even living in Myrtle Beach, I go through peaks and valleys as well. Just like do what works for you. But like, yeah, try to think of Baba. If you need anything, a lot of us are there for you. Feel free. You could even like email me or text me. I'm there for you. And just try to like even picture the center in your mind. Picture Baba in your mind, and
Thank you, man. I really
yeah,
appreciate it.
and you do so much for these teenagers you help in sports as well. Like you show
Mm,
love, you show greatness to them, and that's amazing. Not everyone can do that as well. You get them to
oh
another
yeah, man.
level, and that's awesome what you do as well to these kids.
I appreciate that, dog. I feel like I could honestly do my job for free because
Oh,
that's how much I like love kids and being a mentor. I I yeah, just really try to take it one day at a time, and I appreciate all your guys' love. I feel right now.
No, we're really glad you're here. And also just something to remember that I don't know, really helps me is really keeping in mind that Baba loves me in all states. You know, it's not like if you just like you have to be this ideal spiritual aspirant for Baba to love you. And that's what I think is so different about Baba and all other ideas of spirituality or religion or whatever, that Baba
Mhm.
knows everything you're going to do, quote unquote, wrong. And it's his plan that you're doing it and he loves you through it. And if you can be in that moment, no matter what you're doing, knowing that he's loving you, it just paints things in a very different color.
I agree. I agree. And honestly, when I was at the center, like I was like, it seems kind of cringy, like to believe in a guy that I never knew existed before or never heard of before. But like, I I still can't believe like we all have that like godly presence and love inside of us, and that we can just channel it if we really dig down deep. But I admire all y'all look to Baba as your higher power, and I'm just trying to get reconnected to that feeling because I totally like got it after a couple of days there, just like in the lagoon cabin. I really felt like I was being cared for and seeing the world in a different light. So just trying to like rekindle that energy and let myself, um, let myself like, the ego go, you know, and just try my best to like, sometimes bad vibrations, you know.
Yeah.
When I mean bad vibrations, whatever comes up, whatever comes up. But yeah,
Wow. Thank you so much. No, we're glad you're here. We hope you keep coming back. This is a different night than normal. Normally we have a topic that we talk about, but tonight's just like an open share.
love it. Vulnerability is a little slogan, but I do feel stick with vulnerability is winning.
All
And yeah,
right.
off the tangent, but I was like, I'm gonna stop there.
Where do you live, David?
What'd you say?
Where do you live?
I live in Indiana, so just picture a bunch of corn, and then Bob was in the middle of it, smiling through the carbohydrates when.
Oh, yeah, Indiana. I used to beg my father for when I was going from Ohio to Indiana to go and stop and see the two-headed calf.
The two-headed cows. We have that here in Indy.
Headed calf. That was a two-headed calf.
Oh, I never heard of that before.
Yeah, it was very exciting.
Probably an Indy thing, but
Yeah. Anyway, where are you in Indiana?
Indianapolis.
Yeah, that's where I had relatives. And on the way,
Cool.
we stopped to see the two-headed calf.
Most of the time, it's very peaceful. Very nice to live, I would say.
And you work with kids?
Yes, I'm a sport coach.
Oh, oh.
That's why that feels like it's great because it's like service. It's service and a job I want to be doing. I'm making an impact on their day. Like I had one kid. After we did a game, he came up to me. I'm 6'6", so he came up to me, hugged me on my shins. He said, thank you so much for including me in your game. And I was like, dude, this is why I do it, man. To make them feel welcome, like empowered, loved, you know.
That's so awesome. Keep up the good work. That's so awesome, David. And I would love to pass it along. And I want to hear Shri. Shri, we would love to hear more from what you have to share. Jay Baba.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think it's like everything that you talked about. I think it's great that you're able to talk so freely about it because I don't think we should like ever be ashamed of anything. I think one thing realizing that Margie, as you said, Baba loves you no matter what, but also you're Baba too. So anything that you're doing, he's doing. And I think that's something that helps me a lot when I'm feeling down or sad because I reacted some way or did whatever. And I also thought it was interesting that you mentioned that, you know, you went to the center, you felt great, but then that energy is kind of like wearing off in a way. And I remember feeling the exact same way when I went to the center for my first time. And I was there for like a few days. And when you're at the center, you don't really like leave if you're staying there in like the cabin. So you're in like this beautiful little bubble of like happiness and love. And then you go out into the real world. And for me, like my first experience back out into the real world was like going to the airport, which is a place that I like normally dislike anyways, but going to that environment and like the Myrtle Beach airport in the summer when it's like packed with tourists and stuff. I was just so pissed off and like in such a bad mood. I was snapping at my brother because we were flying back home together. So I think that's totally normal to when like your inner energy levels go from such like an elevated state being at the center and just around those vibrations to kind of being back in the real world. That was something that I related to. But what I wanted to share was when we talk about loving Baba, and I'm sure most of you have watched this, but being a Baba novice compared to a lot of the group here, I had never really like known much about Jesus growing up, didn't grow up in a Christian household. So everything I knew about Jesus was just from like history class in school and all that. But one day I randomly came across a quote and it was Baba saying like, love me the way that St. Francis loved Jesus. And I was like, who is this St. Francis person? But like, I was intrigued. So then I heard about the movie Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon. And oh my God, it was, I'm sure a lot of you watched it, but it was one of the best movies I've ever seen. And I don't know why, but that movie felt like the energy of St. Francis or whatever I think that energy is in my head came to life through that actor. Like the actor did such a phenomenal job portraying someone who just has this undying love for Jesus or Baba. But if any of you haven't watched that movie, I would highly recommend. I also like I cry in my own life, in like my personal life when it comes to like things that happen and stuff, but I'm not someone who cries during movies. And by the end of that movie, I was like sobbing. So highly recommend.
Wow, that's great. Gonna be on the list now. Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but Baba pointed out that St. Francis, he was the only Western perfect master. Yeah. All right, Peter, who do we have up next?
Sorry, I was having mouse problems. Okay, up next we have Tony, Mr. Effort and Grace. Good evening, Tony.
Effort and Grace. Tony has a different, he's sitting in a different spot than he's ever sat before, and he looks different.
He does look different. You know what? Maybe he's like on vacation. Maybe he's like at the Ritz-Carlton. Looks very
Where do we think
fancy.
Tony is? I think he is sitting in the Vatican right now.
Exactly. Where in the world is Tony?
The Pope is next door.
Tony, you're muted. Wherever he is, he's muted.
Yeah.
You have to tell me now. Where am I? I'm on the edge of my seat here in the Vatican. It's beautiful, but actually, I'm in Pennsylvania. I came to get a chiropractic adjustment from your dad, Peter.
Okay.
And,
Oh, wow.
And it's we make the trip. It's from New York to Ephrata, Pennsylvania. So I'm very tired. Ephrata.
Yeah.
And so I didn't think I'd share today because I was barely able to think. But I just thought of something that I could share. When I went to India in '82, it came out of a very difficult period of 8 years. And when I went in '82, I was there for a month, and it was the most beautiful month in the world. And then I had to come home. Actually, I had booked it for 2 weeks because my boss had whittled me down from 3, and circumstances shifted, and I wound up taking a month. And I finally got back home, and it was going to be my first day back at work. And I was laying in bed, and I was suddenly awake. My eyes were still closed, and I could see, and it was light. I could see the light. And I'm thinking, okay, I'll get up now. I'll go get some tea in the Pilgrim Center in the dining hall and see who's there, and then go up to Baba's Samadhi. And suddenly it dawned on me that I was not in India anymore. And I did not want to open my eyes and see myself there in Queens. I wanted to open my eyes and see myself still in Mehrabad. And just at that moment, my alarm went off. And there was the song from Barry Manilow. It was on the radio, Sometimes goodbyes are not forever. It doesn't matter if you're gone. I still believe in us together. Those dreams of yours took you to distant shores, and though they're calling you away, I have no right to make you stay. But somewhere down the road, our roads are gonna cross again. It doesn't really matter when. Somewhere down the road, I know that heart of yours will come to see that you belong to me. Letting go is just another way to say I'll always love you so. And then there's another verse. But I was able to open my eyes after that. And accept that for the time being anyway, I was back in Queens. All right.
Thanks, Tony.
Now I'm going to go back to enjoying the Sistine Chapel here.
Oh.
This Airbnb in what's the name of the town?
Ephrata.
No, I'm not in Ephrata though. I'm by Boube's in.
Is it Akron?
No, there's a famous place here, and it's a restaurant now, but it was a refinery, a beer making place.
Okay, so somewhere in Lancaster County.
I thought it might ring a bell for you. No, yeah, well, sort of.
Okay.
Yeah. Half an hour from your dad's office.
Okay, well, tell them I said hi tomorrow.
Yep.
I have a quote to share. It's a short one, but I just opened it up randomly. It's one of my favorite books. It's called You and I by Rick Chapman put this together. If you love me, nothing can come between you and me. Meher Baba.
Oh, that is short, sweet, and to the point. Oh my God,
Yes.
that's great. Thank you, Peter.
My pleasure.
Could you read it again, Peter?
Yes. If you love me, nothing can come between you and me.
Wow.
I, I, I just want to jump in to say I looked it up. I'm in Mount Joy.
Mount Joy,
It's a
okay.
wonderful name, and I that's where I am, Mount Joy.
You have to be joyous in Mount Joy.
That's right.
No frowning, no worrying.
That's a tough one.
And actually, Ephrata. Speaking about Ephrata, that is a connection with Jane Haynes. That's where she had one of her theaters at years ago. She was the director of the Ephrata Playhouse, like many years ago.
Oh,
I
wow.
just want to say Pete's dad is one of the most amazing there are chiropractors everywhere, and we drive and wind up doing it overnight so we can get adjustments, the special kind of adjustments he does. Yeah.
Yes. And one of his role models was Dr. Kenmore, Harry
Yeah.
Kenmore, who was Baba's chiropractor. He met
Oh,
my dad
wow.
met Harry Kenmore. I guess it was in the society when you guys were in that group.
Yeah.
And he was one of my dad's role models. My dad, or Harry mentioned my dad, like he guided my dad into what technique. He gave my dad a suggestion of like
Mm-hmm.
what technique he should do. And Harry said if he wouldn't have been blind, he would have done that technique that
Yes.
my father does. So
Wow.
yeah,
I just
Baba-
had that treatment recently. It's intense.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, upper cervical. They just
Yeah.
just
It's like getting your head stapled.
Yeah.
it's so good. It's
Yeah.
so
Joshua, it looks like you're not at that amazing
I know.
restaurant
I'm
anymore.
glad
Can
you caught it,
talk to
Peter.
us?
I was gonna call him out too.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just racking my brain to what to share about. So it's just general sharing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Poem, song, dream, experience, person you
No,
met
no,
on the
it's all right.
street.
Yeah, how am I going? I'm good now. But yeah, definitely been going through a rough like patch because I just had a big assessments due and things like that. So just been going through a difficult time. But yeah, yeah, always good to have Barbara as that little anchor to hold on to whilst I'm surfing through those difficult times. Yeah, now it's a beautiful day. I'll show you some of the Sydney rooftops. These are some of the back streets of Sydney. Yeah, it's looking very beautiful. Sometimes rainy, but looking very nice. Yeah, Oh, and that reminds me, I've later got to go buy some costumes for this murder mystery that I'm running. I feel like it's only Barbara would have organized me to somehow have a job as a murder mystery host. I feel like it's just his brand of humor. But yeah, so I'm getting excited for that one. It's going to be really fun. I'm going to dress up in drag. Yeah, it's going to be good. It's so yeah, very grateful at the moment, but in the past it's been rough. Yeah. Anything else that like we've been talking about that you guys think would be a good prompt that you want to hear from me or that you want
Can
to
I
ask
be
me?
in your murder mystery show, Joshua?
I would love it if you could be in
That would
my
be
murder mystery
awesome.
show.
This wasn't like an old Halloween costume, but I want to be in your murder mystery show.
I would love it.
I would love
I
it
wish
too.
we could.
Just get me a ticket to Australia and I'll go. I'll do whatever.
I think her
I'll
name.
wear any costume.
What's happening?
I'll have to write one for Barber lovers, so that
Yeah.
we can all do one, or maybe at one time on Zoom. I can organize it so that we can do it via Zoom. But somehow it might be nice to do a fun murder mystery play. It's basically just like a play. You don't have to learn lines, and it's easy. It's very easy.
That'll be fun. Yes, let's do it.
That would be amazing. You can make it about who stole Baba's book. I guess that wouldn't be a
Exactly.
murder. That wouldn't be a murder mystery. That would just be a mystery. But
It could be. God, the way some Bob lovers are intense about it, it could be a murder mystery.
We did a play years ago in Myrtle Beach before COVID on the center called The Missing Book that a couple of us ran, and that was a fun one.
Mm. Yeah, gosh, I think. Look, don't tell anyone else this. I say to the recorded meeting that will be shown to the world. But I think Barber destroyed it, and that he just wanted it to be a secret. You know, the kind of thing to let our like nuts go wild over and be like, oh, where's the book? What's the book doing? You know, I think that's just his brand of to keep the mystery up, to keep the intrigue up. But who knows? Maybe it's real. Maybe it's out there.
I think it's kind of like his silence. You know, he keeps saying he's going to break his silence. It's like this thing that he's like, this is just something that I've given you to attach onto, and you guys are biting real hard.
I think it's in Margie's closet. That's where I think it really is.
Yeah, it's back there. I've been, I've actually got it right here, guys. I hate to break it to you. That poem that I read out of there earlier, I didn't write. It was actually out of the book.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
You'll have to share more of that book when you get a chance.
Well, since nobody has their hand up, I could read one more thing if somebody wants to hear it, but I don't want to take up space if people are.
We all want to hear it.
Okay. So my relationship with writing with Baba is like, I would sing when I was younger, and I would do all other kinds of sharing, and I don't really get stage fright, but I don't really share my writing. And so when I read the Wretched Self poem on here, that was like the first time I really shared my writing with Baba publicly. And then I did it at the Southeast Gathering. And so this is a little bit of like I have these conversations with Baba I had a blog for a while that I didn't show anybody, but I called them Conversations with the Universe, because it just felt like Baba was talking to me and I was talking back to him, and he was just like sitting having a conversation, and I would write these exchanges down. And so this is an example of that exchange. So it's called I'll Be Here Loving You. The relationship of God to man is often referred to as the relationship of the lover to the beloved. Man, in his ignorance, decided for himself that in this dynamic, we are the lover and God is the beloved. Anyone who believes this to be true is completely lost in egoic disillusionment. For us to say that God is our beloved is a farce. We don't even know how to truly love ourselves and dear ones. How can we say we know how to love God? Who are we to say that we know how to love something so dearly that it can be called the beloved? In God's perfect love, he allows us to believe this joke. We are the beloved and God is the lover. He is the patient lover that lets us stray from the path without jealousy. He sits and waits for us to come back for another dose of that true love. We go about our daily lives taking credit for the things we do and the people we are, disgracing that which we call our beloved. We forget to remember him. We don't even thank him for the gifts he bestows upon us. We act with a pious entitlement as if we earned the house we live in, the families we have, or the things we call ours. These are the love offerings of the Lord. It is how he loves his beloved, each and every one of us. Still, in a lonesome, forlorn patience, God sits and waits for us. We leave him alone for days, weeks, months, years, or sometimes lifetimes. All the while, he has been there loving us. He loves us without condition as we are his beloved. Some of us, after a while, need something, or life has led us astray enough so that we come crawling back to him. More often than not, we do not crawl back to him begging for him to forgive us for all the years we have let our love for him lapse. We call out to him in our narcissistic selfishness, wanting to make sure that he is still there to help us. It is as if we are testing him, seeing how far he can push the envelope before he deems us a lost cause. God in his infinite compassion accepts us and says, yes, I am here. I have been here all along, loving you. We spend a few seconds, hours, or days basking in the rays of his adoration. We make empty promises of never leaving him, which we later only break. We are present with him long enough to sustain us until we get our next fix. Then we leave him completely alone with no care of how he will be without our company. Each time we leave him, he accepts it with grace, sheds a tear, and simply whispers under his breath, I'll be here loving you. A small handful of us have a glimmer of an idea of just how much he loves us. Those lucky few try to visit him more often. Some really lucky ones come to the conclusion that we are actually meant to love him. We try our best. We remember him, visit him without a conscious agenda, but still flounder in our humanness. God is overjoyed. Tears of gratitude fill his eyes. He says, welcome back. Nothing has changed. I've been here loving you. We live our lives trying to find the perfect way to love him. We cry out to him, hoping that he will give us a step-by-step plan of just how to love the Lord. With a parental acceptance and compassion, he says, just be here with me and let me love you. This answer doesn't suit our fancy. We want to be able to give him grand gestures to prove that we love him. Yet again, we leave him in the pursuit of trying to love our beloved. He lets go of us without a fight because all he wants is our happiness. He knows this is what you believe will make you happy. He just, yet again, sends you off with a bided farewell and says, I'll be here loving you. We go off on our quest of trying to find the perfect way to love him. We search far and wide, torturing ourselves to no avail. All the while, we have left our so-called beloved all alone. Finally, in our desperation, we yet again crawl back to him. This time we are furious. We are furious that his love is so great that we are unable to find something to give him in return. Our egos are injured beyond repair. Finally, we fall to our knees, weeping into his lap. In an instant, we see everything that is separating us. It was us all along. He has been the only steady constant. We were the one waging crusades. He has been there, loving us the whole time. In this moment, we look to him with desperation, finally asking the question he has been longing for all along. We ask, how do I love you like you love me? With an empathetic smile, God says, oh, beloved, all you have to do is be here and let me love you. Suddenly you realize your ignorance. You see that there is nothing in the world that could teach you to love like this. After lifetimes of unrelenting self-inflicted torment, we understand. The only thing we can learn to love like this, the only way we can learn to love like this is by succumbing to love itself. We lose ourselves to the lover we mistook for our beloved. We become one with him, and finally, through that love, we let ourselves be his beloved. In that, he teaches us to love him as he should be loved. When this saga is complete, there is, has been, and only will be one truth. He has been there the whole time, loving you. That was a long one. That's it. Jay Baba. All right. Looks like we have Rich.
Well, that was really exquisite, Margie. I only in the past few years have I really gotten closer to what you're talking about, and it's difficult. What it does for me is it's as if my heart starts to break and I usually start weeping, or crying, which is maybe Tony remembers, but I know there was a Saturday night meeting where Dr. Kenmore spoke of it's not the hot tears of self-pity, but the cool tears of longing. What was it, Tony? Can't quite remember, but it's when you remember Baba with your heart. The other thing I was thinking, and this is it, but, and I just came across this within the past few weeks, but I didn't realize this forever, but when Mara was injured in the accident in Prague with Baba, he said that she took on half of the suffering. That's an incredible thing to, I mean, that's incredible. Mara took on half the suffering to break whatever the ultimate issue is for America to move forward spiritually. It's just, it gives a preponderance to the fact that women can lead, you know, in our culture with heart. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's so beautiful. I think about that a lot with Mara and how it feels like, just from talking about people in my own experience, that there is this almost like awakening of Mara and really, you know, the essence of who she is and how important she was and maybe always has been in the advent of the avatar. It's just been overlooked, and Baba really made it so it couldn't be overlooked this time. And it's really incredible. Yeah. Does anyone else have anything that they want to share for tonight? No, maybe not. Oh, okay. We got Diane or Terry or.
This has just been so lovely just to listen to, sit back. And I feel so profoundly blessed that I'm aware that Baba is in my heart. And I don't think anybody is more surprised than me, because I was a political lefty agnostic. And coming here on Baba Zoom, it is like the cross-section of psychotherapy and spirituality. And I literally learn how to live life here by hearing how people let go and turn things over and get out of their own way. In the writings like you just shared, the struggles that each person goes through, and to understand that Baba wants us all to be going through each of these things. I'm having this fabulous text right now with somebody's wonderful wife who's in the background, and we're talking. There she is now in the background. We're talking about past lives. And I said, wouldn't it be great if we could really find out what our past lives were? It would inform us so much about what's going on in this life. And having these kind of conversations that are really so deep, it's not chit chat, is all the difference in the world.
I think too, looking at the screen, these faces, and to feel such strong feelings and so much love, it's like, it's unreal. I mean, like, I saw Josh's face and I thought, like, to me, he's heaven. And I've never even like put my hand on his arm. I've never like touched his face. And yet I love him so much. And I love so many of you so much. And it's just, it's unreal to me. And it has to come from Baba, because I don't know where else it could come from. It's beyond anything I could have imagined in my life, honest and truly, to have the life that we have here with each other. It's a gift to have the support and that come on earlier. I was thinking of like, he's in for such a great life ahead of him with what he already has inside of him, you know? It's exciting to be older and to watch it and to tell you that it just gets better and better is all I can say. It's just, he's where his beloved. And those words were so exquisite, Margie. Keep sharing, because you moved me deeply. And I don't know what to say, except I just love looking at you all. I feel so blessed by him. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, thank you.
Jai Baba.
Thank you guys, thank you. You bring so much to Baba Zoom. You really do. All right. Looks like we got Peter. Take us away.
All right.
Who's up next?
Marsha is up next. Marsha.
Well, I discovered that I've been writing poems forever, and I started to print them. So I'm going to read a recent one. Why speak when there's no one to speak to? I struggle no more. I regain my sight. With my loss and pain, joy and sorrow, the days began with escape into sleep. No longer able to remember the ecstasy I had the day before. A simple conversation turned joy into inner turmoil. I let things bother me that were of no concern and let myself slip into Maya's grip. You hung onto my sleeve and I onto your diamond as I struggled in a place designed by myself with no escape. So gradually I climbed out of my shell and said, all is well. What I need to remember is never stop saying his name, Mayor Baba. Do you want to hear another one? Anyway, I'll read one more. It's a steep climb. This is pretty recent. I always worry that I'll go back and have to start all over again. I keep making mistakes. The difference is I now have the opportunity to choose how I react to things. God has given us the tools while we are still on this earth to reflect on our lives. We are the pages in the Creator's book. We are living the new life. We must be open, accept change, or lose ourselves to fear, anxiety, worry, envy, lust, and greed. There is no right or wrong. There is no good or bad. There is no life without love. Only love will prevail. It's in quotes. Be kind to one another, be loving, fill your hearts with joy and happiness, and leave the rest to God. So anyway.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing those. I really liked the first one a lot.
I have one that's, I was upset about people cutting down trees, and where I lived, there was a cardinal, and I wrote this, the elusive cardinal. The cardinal has left, no longer do I hear his lovely song. One day he was there, the next day he was gone. And why did he leave? I know why. They cut down all of his trees. He left to find a new home. I miss his chirping and his beautiful song. I had just become acquainted with him, and then he was gone. A part of my life is that it's always changing. Nothing stays the same. Life is like a flowing stream, a beautiful dream. Jay Baba, it's all. Thanks.
Jay Baba, thank you, Marsha.
Jay Baba, thank you.
And not to put you on the spot, but to also put you in the spot, Alan and Adrian, I would love it if you guys would share. It is also my birthday week, hint. Adrian, even if you want to sing like an a cappella song to close us out, I think everyone would love that. You can think of it even as a lullaby. I mean, whatever. But
in fact, I think that Adrian, if you don't sing, Bob is going to give you all of our impressions.
yes, good and bad. Yes.
What in God's name is this tomfoolery? I will sing, but Alan had something he was going to share.
Oh, I did. Yes, please, both of you.
He buttoned all.
I buttoned all the way up to say
Sorry.
something.
Like, why did you do that if you're not going to share something?
No, it's a nervous tick that I have that I forget when I'm at home. I forget that I'm not at work. All right.
I'm so mean. I'm sorry for making.
It's okay. My heart's broken. Anyways.
In a horrible
way. Meher Baba's broken it the deepest of all. Well, what do you want me to share? I was reading something about Don Stevens, and it was a short little story about him being, I think, about 3 years old, and he lived in Nevada in this really kind of, like, I guess, pretty, what do you say, barren town. And so his older brothers would catch like these wild mares, these horses, and they'd bring them in, and the only place that they would hold them for the night was like these little chicken coops, and they'd empty all the chickens out, and they'd have this wild horse kind of just like there for the night. And one day, it was one night when Don was done eating supper, he was allowed to go outside for a little bit, and he decided to go walk past one of those horses, and it was just the way that he, you know, how if you know Don's writing and the way he speaks, it's like it was just the way he gave so much detail of walking up to this horse and making eye contact, and he felt no sense of it being wild, but just that they were two beings that were suddenly there together, and he felt no sense of, you know, intensity and just this real deep naturalness. And even him describing that naturalness to me, I was just feeling Baba's love in just in that part of the story, and I didn't know why. And then he talks about finding some maneuver of a way to get onto, like slowly kind of putting his hand and then his foot, and then just like, and the horse would look back at him and then kind of stop and let him do the next step. And he'd look back again, like, oh, you're gonna sit on me? Okay. And and he's just a little boy. And finally, until he sits on the horse, and it's just this really deep, he's like, there's nothing extra about it. It was just this absolute resonant oneness. It was just natural, me and you are here now. And this natural movement, when he kind of leaned a little bit one way and the horse started walking a little bit one way. And they just had this oneness to them. And they shared this these moments together until he even opened the gate for him and the horse to start walking out in the open vastness of this valley in Nevada. So like just the stars and this horse, this wild horse, and him at 3 or 4 years old. Like he's so now they're just trotting along, and the horse would look back occasionally at Dawn, and Dawn is just like riding there. And there's something about that struck me. I just felt so much of Baba's love, like the fact that this human being was riding on this wild horse in the middle of the night, like it's getting dark, is, you know, and he's going out into the wildness of it, but he had this trust and this oneness with this wild horse. And this person, Don, would come into contact with the avatar. Like it was willed that what freedom, what the sense that I had was what freedom and beauty that this little child and this wild horse, like this danger, the potential danger, like being out there in the wild, in this wild world. But it was Don there with that oneness, that oneness with, and Baba was there because nothing bad was going to happen to Don. He had to meet, his destiny was to meet the avatar, to do the work. He wasn't there to break his leg or his neck or his arm. It was so beautiful that this is just this experience that he had. And he went all the way out so far that he could look back, and he could see this, you know, this light coming on, his parents yelling out for him, like, where are you? And then all of a sudden, bigger part of the town lighting up and being like, where is he? And this whole group of people starting to come up the hill. And he just slowly, without any anxiety, just leaned over to the left again, and then leaned a little bit more and turned the horse around. And they both just slowly went a different direction.
Whoa.
And went all the way back down in a different way, missed the whole search party, and went a different way, really calmly back down to the house. And he put the horse back into the chicken coop, and then he went to his bed. And right when he was in his bed, then he could hear voices getting louder, and people then go, and his dad comes in, and he's like, oh, he's here. And his mom was just like, just let him sleep, he's tired. And then they never talked about it again. His parents and him and his family never spoke a word about it. And the next morning, life just went on. But
They were lost.
I just had to share that because that story made me weep, like with Baba's. Because I feel like I'm in this world and I'm scared. I have all these things happening. I don't know where I'm going. But what freedom and naturalness and this silence, this serenity of being with this natural wildness that is here all the time, the potential to die or get a disease or this shit I have fears about, it's all leading to him. It's all leading to him. My destiny will be to meet with the avatar at some point, one of these days, whatever form I take, whatever future that is. We're destined. If we're here talking about it right now, and you hear my words, then you know. You know we're bound to meet him. It's gonna take a lot of suffering.
Hey, it's probably, I was thinking today how it's probably only like 6 more lifetimes.
Yeah.
6 to 10, you know?
Anyways,
maybe less.
It's
That's
probably
not
not that
much.
bad.
I know. I feel like we've
And
done.
we
more
already
than
have
that.
him, you know, like we're already with him. Sometimes I think that like, yeah, it might be glimpses, but we all have had that experience of being with him in this body, right? Each and every one of us sitting here. And so we're with him.
Beautiful story.
I want to be with him physically.
Okay, sorry, Alan. But I have a very short but very sweet story about Alan being with Baba in India. If you guys are okay with me sharing it really quickly. It's very funny actually. So it was like their last day. We were all in India together, and Adrian and Alan needed money. They needed to go to the ATM. And you know, in India, ATMs just don't have money. That's just the thing. And so I had a little scooter bike, and Alan really didn't want to tag along, but we kind of convinced him because we told him we were only going to the village. So we go to these 3 ATMs that are in the village. They have no money in them. And so we end up having to drive all the way into Ahmednagar with Alan and Adrian on the back. And Adrian and I are having the time of our lives. We're like I'm not taking selfies because I'm driving, but Adrian's like taking selfies. We're yelling, we're having fun. And you just hear Alan every couple of bumps go, ugh, in the back, or just like grunting and, ugh. Like, guys, how much longer is this? Because it was like a half-hour scooter ride there and back. Oh. And there was one point where, you know, Indian traffic moves pretty methodically, but there was like a car that kind of came out of nowhere a little bit. And we just like very simply like swirled around it, you know, but it was, I mean, for somebody who hasn't been in Indian traffic, it could have been really scary. But anyway, so we get back to Mehrabad, and Alan, I'm sorry, Alan, I'm going to make fun of you just a little bit, but the entire time we were in India, Alan looked like a Patagonia ad. He had like these pants from like REI, and he had like a button shirt all the way up here, and he would wear a fanny pack and then a hat and sunglasses.
A huge hat. Like it was like a huge one of those like nylon like shade hats, you know, that you get at REI.
Yeah.
And so it happened to be that when Alan boarded the motorbike, he was wearing his Birkenstocks with socks. And we get off the motorbike back to the NPR, and he goes, guys, Bob is everywhere. Bob dressed me in socks today with my sandals so that my feet wouldn't get dusty when we didn't know we were going to Ahmednagar. And it was so sweet and so precious.
Feet, you wore your socks.
The point is, I never wore that combination of an outfit before. I was very, very unusual to wear socks with Birkenstocks. I was always in my sneakers in case I needed to run or stand still or jump.
Did you take a picture?
I think there's a picture somewhere.
Well, socks and stocks is one of our, you know, life's greatest pleasures.
Yeah, very sweet.
I hope that you can all enjoy.
Thanks for sharing that, Margi.
It's really sweet. Well, I guess you guys want to end. So Alan, I mean, Peter, it's Peter's birthday week. Peter's birthday is the day before my half birthday. So I always will remember it. Because I'm self-oriented, but Peter, I'm actually very Peter Goodman oriented also. And I'm very grateful for you. And I think all of us feel very grateful to Baba for you. I think that that's a real easy one. And your song was really beautiful that we turned on the meeting right when you were playing and just like sharing your beautiful music. And Alan was like, I should jam with Peter sometime. So I hope you guys.
Yes. Next time you guys come to Myrtle Beach in May, we're gonna jam.
Yay.
Yes.
And then I will sing you a song for your birthday.
Thank
which
you.
Will be the only thing. There are 2 things that are coming to my mind. I'm just really thinking about Mara. My Mara songs are coming to my mind. So why don't I sing? Okay. I just have these 2 little ideas. Okay. I'm just going to do them, and I'm not going to overthink it. The first song is that little song that she used to sing. Meher Baba, Lord and friend, my beloved to the end. Meher Baba, Lord and friend, my beloved to the end. Jai, Jai, Jai. This last thing is something I wrote that you can sing along to if you want. Mehra mehe, 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 Baba, mehra mehe, mehra mehe, mehra mehe, mehra mehe, mehra mehe, mehra mehe, oh mehra mehe, meher Baba, 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 oh meher Baba, Lord and friend, my beloved to thee. Jai, Jai, Jai. Hey, Baba.
Thank you, Adrian. That was so beautiful.
Thank you, Baba.
Do something else, baby. That's all I can say. Mm-mm.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you,
Happy
Baba.
birthday, Peter.
Love your
Do we
voice. Adrian.
sing?
Thank you
Can
so
we
much.
do, would you
Thank you,
guys
Baba.
be happy with doing a happy birthday song for Peter?
Be chaotic, everybody
Yeah, it's gonna sound really bad, but we're gonna do it
sound
anyway.
1, 2, 3.
But it's
Ready?
gonna sound
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
to
you.
you.
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
to you.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday, dear Peter.
happy
Happy birthday
birthday
to
you.
you.
love you.
Thank
I
you,
see
dear
VJ in
Baba.
the
Avatar,
background.
Meher
Here,
Baba
Baba.
Sorry,
Ki
Baba.
Jay.
Jai.
Avatar.
Avatar, Meher Baba
Meher
Ki
Baba
Jai.
Day.
Avatar,
Avatar,
Meher
Meher
Avatar.
Meher
Baba
Baba
Baba.
Ki
Baba.
Jai.
Hey.
I see VJ is here. Can he sing a song? VJ, where are you?
Oh, we're going.
Yeah, I can sing.
Yay.
No.
This I will never leave you. On this you can depend. I will always with you in ways you cannot comprehend. Let not your heart be troubled by the things that pass your eyes. The world is made of shadow that your mind learn to disguise. I will never leave you. On this you must believe. No matter where you are going, no matter your paths may lead, let not your soul be weary by this constant well of tears. You know I will be there waiting when the clouds all disappear. I will always love you in darkness and in light. We always be together. You will never ever leave my side. Let not your heart be troubled by the thing that pass your eye. This world is made of shadow, that your mind learn to disguise. I will never leave you. I will never leave you. I will always love you. I will never leave you. अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय.
AJ.
Yeah.
Wow, so
Thank you,
beautiful,
VJ. That was so
VJ.
beautiful.
Thank you,
Wow.
Vijay. Jai Baba.
Hey, Baba.
Thank you,
It's
guys.
so wonderful to listen the Western Baba lovers and how Baba Baba's love drawing you. In the East, it is so means in the culture, but the Western lover, especially means I was interested in the West and especially America. Baba blessed America, and Baba said that. There is a potential, there is a spiritual potential in the ladies, American ladies. And yeah, it's so nice to see. And this Baba Zoom, how we get connected. Yeah, it's all one. So yeah.
Yeah.
Jai
So
Baba,
amazing.
Jai Baba.
So
Yeah. I love listening you. Yeah.
beautiful.
PJ, you know, I've been
Yeah.
watching you now for like how long? 3 years. For like 3 years. And when VJ smiles, his whole face smiles. I don't know if you can,
Yeah.
but I just love it when he smiles. It's just
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I don't think he ever doesn't smile. I think any wrinkles that he has on his face are in the shape of a smile.
just the best.
Yeah.
He has, you know how
Yeah.
they have like resting bitch face? He has resting smile face.
It has become resting because all my life been a smile. And you know, Baba lovers give me the biggest smile. Otherwise, when I see them, it gives me a smile. That's true. Yeah. Makes me happy. Yeah.
You make me happy too.
I have a quick little Baba story.
Sure.
Barry and I were driving down the street in like mid-city LA a couple weeks ago. It was a Sunday afternoon, and I don't mean to brag, but I drive a 2002 Honda Odyssey. It has on it, and on the back fender where there's kind of a big blemish, I put right under it a bumper sticker, "Don't worry, be happy, Mara Baba." And it's been on there for years. And we're driving along, and this woman, was she in a VW? I think she in a VW van,
bus, yeah.
van, rolls down her window and tells us, she said, "Oh my God, a dent with that bumper sticker. That is the best thing I've ever
And she's
seen in my
yelling
life."
over like 3 lanes of traffic. We're in like LA, you know, it's.
But finally somebody got it, you know, the irony of it all. And she said it made her day.
And her smile was so, she was so amazing. It was almost like in a movie. It didn't even feel for real. It was great.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Diane, next time that happens, if it ever does, you just have to shout, Meher Baba!
Absolutely. Absolutely. This has been a fun one.
It was like
That's been fun.
Really wonderful people tonight.
Yeah.
Always
It's been
wonderful.
a good one.
a party in Massachusetts. Party.
Patty.
Well, thank you everybody who came on and shared or who listened, and
Thanks,
I
Maggie.
appreciate. I know Peter and I feel so happy to get to do these.
Yes. And it's a late one. It's almost midnight Baba time on the East Coast.
Yes, that means it's bedtime. My earrings are
Yeah.
coming out. I'm going to bed.
Same here.
Hey,
All right, guys. Jay Baba. Good night.
Night.
Baba.
Jay Baba.
Thank you, Margie.
Thank you.
Thank